Okay, so we're going to try this again. So this one is going to be a full essay, so 5 paragraphs about my very best friend Heather. So I have several best friends, but I would have to say from childhood, she and I have another friend, Julie. They would probably be what I would call my longest time best friends. Heather I've known just the longest of them all. So here we have the assignment. You have your pencil, you have your highlighter, marker pens. Marker pens. And so I'm going to put my name on paper. I'd love for you to do that too. Okay, so let's take a peek at this. Let's see if we can get this so you can actually see what I'm doing. Not really. Okay, so here we go. I'll just kind of squinch down. So, starting off with this essay, it's the same pattern, same thing that you're doing. You might want to borrow some of these ideas. So when I hear comments like, I don't understand paragraph number 2, I can say, hey, do you remember my Abby essay? Or do you remember my Heather essay? And then you could borrow some of those things and how you break down the stories to talk about that person. So we're going to start with my attention grabber, because you know every essay has to have one, and if it doesn't, nobody wants to read your essay. So orange. I use a question. I say, what's the longest you've ever had a friend? So this is orange. What's the longest you've ever had a friend? So here we have my attention grabber. Just question. Most of you will say, oh, since I was 3. And I can say, ha ha, me too. I'm just old now. So then we have, for more than 40 years, I've had a very best friend. Not many people can say that. Most everyone has a best friend while growing up, but only a few can say they're still really close with their best friend years later. So none of that are my reasons or my details or my facts. So again, I just give you some background information, kind of set up the stage about my friend, because we've actually been friends for 44 years. So I just put a box around it, and then I'm going to add that note, sets the stage. Are you doing this in your hero essay? You can when you start typing it. You can set the stage. Sometimes you're going to have to add some bits to weave your sentences together, because there's going to be, from the outline to the actual draft, you're going to have to add something, and you have to change stuff, and that's part of the revision process. So I'm excited about that. So the first thing, the first reason, detour, fact, yellow, is the sentence that says she's quirky. So you get that sentence, she's quirky. So that's going to be paragraph 2. Quirky is when, you know, they're just a little bit different than anybody else you might know. And then we have, we literally grew up together. That's going to be my second reason, detail, or fact. And then my third reason, detail, or fact is, since the very beginning of our friendship, we have had each other's backs. So those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about in this essay with my friend Heather. And then we go to my thesis statement. So this is a pattern 3 sentence. We haven't done pattern 3. We're going to soon. Monday, we're going to talk about pattern 3. It's my favorite. It's my favorite pattern. So again, I didn't change it because it's a dependent clause, comma, independent clause. So here's my thesis statement, what the whole thing is about, blue. Even though we don't live near each other anymore, Heather is one of my closest friends and heroes. So it's still the same format. Orange, background is optional. Then I have my yellows and then my blue. So, transition, purple. To begin. So this is all about that she's quirky, but I have to say it in a way that's different than she's quirky, because I will bore the reader. So we use the green, and we say her personality is uniquely her own. So that's another way of saying she's quirky. Quirky. Okay, so the first yellow we're going to talk about is the fact that my friend starts conversations and she doesn't finish them. So here we go. She starts conversations but actually forgets to finish them. So that's my first thing I'm going to talk about here. So all the pinks are about when she starts conversations and she doesn't finish them. So I'm going to start, it's like she's so happy to see friends, pink, that she can only process one at a time. She's like a little puppy. But when she says hi or asks a question or starts to answer someone, she sees another friend and bam, we've lost her. She would get too excited about another friend and forget what she was doing. Still pink. This annoyed some of friends in high school, but those who knew her well accepted her. So all of that is about starting conversations and not finishing them. So all of that is pink. Remember, if I go too fast, pause. Pause. Just make sure my mouth's not open. Okay? Now my second reason, detail, or fact, yellow, is about Heather talks to anyone. So it's a sentence that says, Heather has always been the kind of person who would talk to anyone. So everything that talks about how she'll talk about anyone is pink. So here we go. And I mean anyone. So this is what I have so far. How you doing? Even when we were awkward junior high schoolers, she would go up to anyone and talk to them. She never even thought twice about it. I was super shy when I was a teen and would have to take a few minutes to prepare what I was going to say to anyone I didn't already know. Not Heather. So all of that talks about how she'll talk to anyone. So here we are. Hopefully you got it. Now my last reason, detail, or fact is about she also makes those that she knows laugh really hard. She's that kind of person that when you're with her, you actually, your stomach muscles hurt because you laugh so hard. So I have another friend like that too. So there we go. That's my yellow. So everything is about how she makes me laugh. Have you ever had a friend who could crack you up so hard your sides hurt and you had tears stream down your cheeks? Pink. Heather can make me laugh so hard I think I'm going to wet my pants. It's probably one of the best things about her. It's true though. I could even tell you a story. I didn't. I could tell you a story about when the last time I saw her, we were at Red Robin, and how she made me laugh so hard. I really did have tears coming down my cheeks. I wouldn't tell you what the story's about because, well, I've known Heather a long time. I'll just leave it at that. Next, transition, purple. There we go. Next. Okay, so this one's supposed to be about we literally grew up together. So I'm going to use green, I'm going to use different words, and I'm going to say growing up in Moses Lake, we live right across the street from each other. So this is all about like growing up right next to each other. So my first yellow I'm going to talk about is when we were building our house. So that's yellow. So my parents built a house when I was 5 years old, and my job was to collect in a coffee can all the nails the builders dropped. So everything that's about this time when we're building our house is going to be pink from here on out. So I'm going to grab my pink. Here we go. I would run all over the building site collecting nails like crazy. So it's about that time. And one day I was busy doing my job when I saw this girl with long brown pigtails pushing a baby stroller through our new house. We didn't have walls yet, but it was so weird to have this stranger sauntering around our new house. So this is where I'm at. So this is all about when we built our house. I was very suspicious, but she came right up to me and said, "Hi, I'm Heather. Want to play dolls?" She really did. And that was it. We were inseparable. Then I'm going to transition, and you can tell I transition because I say Heather and I had actually met before then. So that's yellow, and it's all about preschool. So I'm going to highlight that bit yellow. Heather and I had actually met before then at preschool. So then everything about preschool is going to be pink. So I was a regular. She wasn't a regular at Mrs. Yanni's preschool. I loved it. So I get the rest of that pink. I'm going to go on to the back side. So many fun things to do. One day there was a girl with long brown ponytails playing on the wooden pirate ship. She wore glasses with black patch over one of her eyes, just like a pirate. That was it. We played all morning until parent pickup. The funny thing is that I'd forgotten all about this until I moved across the street from Heather and her family. So all of that is about being preschoolers together. Then I say at school, so I transition you from preschool to at school, our teachers always mix this up. Yellow. It's my third reason, detail, or fact. So I have three. I have when we were building our house, I have preschool, and now I'm going to talk about my third reason, detail, or fact is that teachers mixed us up. They actually didn't like us being together in class, which is just wrong. It's just wrong. So here we go, pink. So everything that's talking about school. Both of us had long brown hair, and our moms always styled our hair into 2 ponytails. And the first grade, I got glasses, but no patch. I was super bummed. Everyone thought we were twins. We never tricked people, but we probably could have switched places for a day. We talked so much in class, it's actually in our permanent record, that we couldn't be in the same class after 3rd grade. Yikes, we must have been really troublesome. All that is about teachers mixing us up, and also they wanted to separate us. Okay, moving right along. Transitioning, purple. Lastly. So this one is supposed to be how we've had each other's backs. So this my 3rd reason, detail, fact, and since the very beginning we've had each other's backs. So I say it differently here, and I say green. The real beauty of our friendship has been during the really hard times. Okay? So this is a little bit more serious. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is about we lived across the street from each other, and our families were close. So that's about that. So when we lived across the street from each other, we had a couple things happen that were sad. So, pink. First, my great-grandma passed, and then my grandmother passed, my dad's mom. And Heather was the only person I called, the only person who could even close to understanding how I felt. So all of that is my first reason, detail, or fact. Then, you can see I'm transitioning because then I say when. So when will tell me it's my second reason, detail, or fact. When we were in high school, Heather and I went to a camp called Business Week. It was at Central Washington University. It was really fun. We got to stay in the dorms. We were going to be seniors in high school, so we thought we knew everything. Then in pink, everything is about that week at Business Week. So here we go. Heather received a phone call that her granddad had suddenly died. Our families were so close, each loss was devastating. We left camp and drove several hours to the funeral, Heather sobbing the whole drive. It was hard for her, and I was glad to be there for her. The same was true when my granddad died. Heather dropped everything and was there for me, even though she was pregnant and had an active toddler. So all of that is about that loss of losing granddads. First a Business Week, and then I kind of segue it into when my granddad died. So then my last reason, detail, or fact is one of the most recent losses is when Heather's mom died. That was really, really sad. So one of the most recent losses has been when her mom died, a painful death from cancer. Never, ever wish that on anyone. So then anything about that is going to be pink. So even so, Heather could keep my mom and I laughing with the outlandish things her mom said during her last days. And Heather's mom's passing really affected us deeply. We're both mothers. So not only was her mother like a mother to me, but now Heather and I are both mothers. And so we relate to each other kind of like our moms used to relate to each other. And it's just, it was sad. It was really, really sad. It still is sad when I think about it. So, last paragraph. As you can clearly see, we said that was going to be purple. So I use a strong transition because it's really clear. Heather and I have a great relationship. Then I'm going to retouch my thesis statement. So my thesis is here. And I said, even though we don't live near each other anymore, I didn't use a pattern 2. I used a pattern 3. So, but I took that and I just, instead of just saying Heather's one of my closest friends and heroes, I just say Heather's amazing because it's really the same thing. But I'm not saying it the same way. So I just restate my thesis with some synonyms. See? So I purple to the blue. Now I have to restate my 3 RDF. So in the first paragraph I said she's quirky. And the paragraph I said her personality is uniquely her own. But on the back side, I'm going to say there's no one like her. I'm still saying the same thing. I'm just saying it different ways to keep my reader wanting to read this essay. Then my second reason, detail, was we literally grew up together. And the paragraph I said growing up in Moses Lake right across the street from each other. But on the back I said we're 2 peas in a pod. So, because we grew up together. Then my third reason, detail, was having each other's backs. And in the paragraph itself I said has been during the hard times, having each other's backs. And I put down here at the conclusion, Loss and grief have brought us closer together. So it's still the same ideas. And you can add a little more information or say it just a different way. Then I have a sentence. I hope you've had a friend for as long as I've had Heather. You'll always remember who you are and where you've been, and the journey is that much better. So this I could technically call all of it a zinger. So I'm going to put a little box around it. But a zinger is just like a strong statement so that the reader is like, wow, that would be cool. Because I'm sure now that you're 12 or 13, you're thinking like, I think it'd be cool to have a friend when I'm 47 years old and to still talk about him or her. So this last part, I put a box around it. This all could be a zinger. But I could just say the last sentence is a zinger if I wanted to make it easy. Because it really is. Life is so much better when you have somebody that relates to you, that understands you. So I'm just going to do that last little bit orange. If you want to do the last 3 sentences orange, you can as well. But anyway, this is my assignment about Heather, or my essay about Heather. So this goes in the basket. I'll give it back to you so you have an example. But I want to see if we're talking about pinks and yellows and greens and blues and oranges and purples together. And I hope your draft is going okay. Remember, you need to show me your graphic organizer. Just bring it to me. I'm going to sit down and wait for it. And then I want you to bring me your outline. Make sure everything is a sentence on there. I want to see that too. And then your draft, when you think you have it done, then you click done on that particular assignment in the classroom. And I should be able to start taking a peek at it. But that draft, you're going to print it on Friday. And if you have questions, just holler. And I hope you're enjoying talking about your hero. Okay, thanks. Bye.